Hey guys, it's Alexandra from EyeLoveKnots. Today we're going to be working on the corner to corner enamored heart square. This is worked in double crochet boxes, and with corner to corner you start in one corner with one box. You increase diagonally by one box each time all the way up until you reach the size you're looking for, and then you begin decreasing back down to one square. I have two designs that use the same exact square pattern, and that is the corner to corner enamored heart washcloth and corner to corner enamored heart Afghan square. The difference between the two is going to be the yarn used. My designs and this tutorial are done with worsted weight yarn, that's number 4 weight. If I was going to be doing a washcloth or a doily or a table runner, I would want to use a yarn like Lily Sugar and Cream or We Crochet Dishy. For a project like a shawl or a throw pillow or a blanket, I would use either Red Heart Super Saver or Lion Brand Woolies. So depending on the project that you want to make with the square, that's how you're going to decide what yarn you want to go with. And just because I'm making mine with worsted weight yarn does not mean that you have to. You can absolutely use a different weight yarn with its respective crochet hook and you would get a different size square. So if you want to use a number 10 crochet thread, you can. If you want to go all the way up to a number 6 super bulky weight, you can do that as well. We are going to be talking about gauge using the worsted weight yarn. Gauge is essential if the finished size of your project is essential. For example, if you wanted to make a beanie, the beanie needs to be a certain size so it will fit your head correctly. In that case, gauge is essential. And if you do not meet gauge, then the finished project will either be too big or too small. That's an example where gauge is essential. If you're working a project like a blanket where gauge is not essential, it doesn't matter if the finished size is a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, as long as all the squares are the same size, then gauge is not essential. You don't have to take it. So again, you're going to want to think to what kind of project are you going to make, and is the finished size essential? That's going to be your answer as to whether you need to check gauge or don't need to check gauge. And again, this is in reference to working with worsted weight yarn. This is Red Heart Super Saver, and with worsted weight yarn, I'm using an H8 5mm crochet hook. This is my favorite hook that I got from Sienna's Boutique on Etsy. I will pop the link for it down in the description box below. So if you needed to check gauge, you would start with this crochet hook and work the sample up to row 5. That's where we're going to talk about gauge. And then if it's measuring too small, you go up a hook size. If it's measuring too large, you go down a crochet hook size. But you'll start here with the H8 and see where you are after row 5. Again, that's if the finished size is essential to you, and if you're using worsted weight yarn like I am. This is a great project to use scraps, especially if you have a lot of one color for the background and then you want to change up the heart color. It only uses a small amount of yarn. If you're going to be using different yarns together, for example, Red Heart Super Saver, Lion Brand Basic Stitch, and Lion Brand Heartland, all together in your blanket, you might want to take gauge to make sure that all the squares are going to come out to the same size. Some yarns work up different than others. I find the same thing with Red Heart Super Saver. Sometimes I have to use an H8 5mm hook for one color, and for a different color I might need to use a J10 6mm hook. Some of the colors of the Super Saver series are thinner or thicker than others. So just something to keep in mind as you're picking your yarn. You're going to find the written pattern for this square linked in the description box below. If you would like to see a specific type of project made with this square, please drop me a comment below and let me know. In our tutorial today, we're going to be working up this entire square together. working step by step through the corner to corner stitch pattern, changing colors row by row, and finishing off our square. So as we're working through the center part of the square, I did cut out some of the bigger sections, so just pause the video when you need a little bit more time and then come back to it whenever you're ready to continue. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a slip knot, so I've pulled the yarn over my fingers here, wrap it around my index finger 2 times, hold the tension with my thumb and my middle finger, pull the loop on the left up over the other one but not off my finger. Then I'll pull the one on the left now up over the other one and off my finger. Take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop on my finger and pull it off. Hold the working yarn in my right hand, and with the short tail in my left, I'm going to pull that so it goes to normal tension. We're going to start with a chain 6. Each time we're increasing, we're going to begin with a chain 6, and we're going to work our first box the same way as this one. So to chain, we're going to yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. Each time we do this, we're going to get one of these V-shaped stitches here, and each one of these is a chain. So we have 1, 2, 3. We don't count the loop that's on our hook. So I'm going to go ahead and work a couple more so that I have 6. And now we're going to work a double crochet into the 4th, 5th, and 6th chains. We don't count the loop on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. In that 4th one, I'm going to go ahead and work my first double crochet, yarn over, insert my hook right into the center of the chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only, leaving the other one there. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. These skip chains here in the beginning count as our first double crochet, so technically we have 2 stitches now. Let's double crochet into the next chain, yarn over, insert your hook into the center, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then we'll double crochet into that very last chain, yarn over, insert your hook into the center of the chain, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And our first box is done. Each time we work a box, it's going to be made up of 4 stitches. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 double crochets and a chain. Counting the double crochets at the top, you look to the V shapes at the top. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. That beginning tail is connected to that first chain. That slip knot is not secured, so that chain may open up. You can just hold on to the slip knot and pull the tail end. It'll close that up. And we'll secure this closed when we weave in our ends. While we're increasing, we're going to continue to grow the number of boxes. So row 1 has 1 box, row 2 is going to have 2 boxes, row 3 will have 3 boxes. We're going to increase in this first color all the way up to 6 boxes. For row 2, we're going to start with a chain 6. And again, each time we're increasing, we're going to go ahead and start with that chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook. So again, we don't count the loop on our hook. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we'll continue to double crochet into each of those next 2 stitches as well. And now we have this alligator mouth shape. We're going to take that box on the bottom and flip it so it's mirrored. Then we're going to slip stitch join to the top chain of that last stitch on that first box. It's going to be the stitch that's the most natural to work into if you lay these 2 boxes flat together. It's that stitch right next to where your hook is currently laying. Insert your hook into that top stitch, which is a chain, so you just insert right in the center. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. We've just slip stitched, our 2 boxes are secured together, and that's how we're going to do it each time we join our boxes. So the first box is done. Now we need to work another box on top. Anytime we're here in the center, we're going to start with a chain 2. And this chain 2 is going to count as our first double crochet here. I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the space that is here in between those last 2 stitches of that previous box. So here's the chains on the top, and here's one of the double crochets. We're going to insert our hook right into the center space in between those 2 stitches. So yarn over, insert my hook right into that space. When I do that, I'm going to have that chain on my hook. Then complete my double crochet. And I'll work 1 more double crochet into that same space. And if I was continuing in the center, I would work another double crochet in that space, but because we're on the edge, to help keep my edges clean and straight, I'm actually going to work my last double crochet into the foundation chain that's over here on the left side. And it's going to be into the 3rd chain, 1 where the slip knot is, 2 right above it, 3 right above that. Yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch, and complete my double crochet. And I just think that it looks a little bit better when you work into this 3rd stitch instead of the beginning chain up there. And by working here into this foundation chain, you're also keeping that side nice and even. Otherwise you would have like a dip in there. Now if it is a little wonky, you can use your fingers to manipulate the fabric. We're going to put a border on this, and that's going to work out any wonkiness that's left. And just like that, row 2 is complete with 2 boxes. For row 3, we're going to start with a chain 6. We're going to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and then double crochet into each of the next 2 chains, and that's going to complete our first box. We have that alligator mouth shape here. We take the bottom half, we flip it so it's mirrored, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top chain there of the last stitch, the stitch that is the most natural if you bring these and lay them together. Right into the center of that chain, yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. And now we've just slip stitched these 2 boxes together. As I'm working here, I like to go ahead and pull this fabric down. I fold it over so that it doesn't get caught in my hook as I'm working. Here, as we continue up, we're going to be starting with a chain 2. Then we're going to work 3 double crochets into this space right here in between those 2 double crochets of that previous box, right into the center of the space. And as you work, you'll have that stitch sitting right on top of your hook. And because we're working in the center, I go ahead and put all those stitches into that space. So I have beginning chain 2, 3 double crochets into that space. Now I'll pull that fabric up, and we're going to slip stitch to the top stitch there, which again is the most natural if you lay these 2 together. It's right next to where you are. Insert your hook right into the center of that chain, yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. And now we've slip stitched those 2 boxes together. We need 1 more box on top to make 3. We start with a chain 2. And because we're working on the edge, we're only going to put 2 double crochets into this space in between those last 2 stitches, and then we'll work the last one on the foundation chain on the edge. So insert my hook right into the center space, picking up the chain on my hook, and then complete my double crochet. And I want to put 2 of them in there. And now I need 1 on the side edge, and if you look at your previous box, you're going to see 1 to 3 horizontal double crochets. I'm going to work it into the foundation chain that's connected to that third one there. It's the one that's the easiest to see because the one above it is really twisted. That's connected to the 4th stitch, which is the chain. I don't like to work into that one because I get a really wonky edge, so I'm going to put it into that one right underneath it, the third one, right into the center of that chain, and then complete my last double crochet. And now row 3 is complete with 1, 2, 3 boxes. And now we're going to continue in this manner the same way as we just did with row 3. We're just going to be adding more boxes in the center as we go. We want to continue working until we have 6 boxes across. So let's work one more together. I'm going to start with a chain 6. Then I'll double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. And then double crochet into the 5th and 6th chains as well. Flip the bottom fabric, slip stitch to the top stitch there, fold my fabric down as I work, begin with a chain 2, 3 double crochets into that space in between those last 2 stitches. Fold the fabric back up, slip stitch to the top stitch. Fold the fabric back down, begin with a chain 2, work 3 double crochets into that space in between those last 2 stitches. Fold my fabric back up, slip stitch to the top stitch. I'm in the last box now. Begin with a chain 2, work 2 double crochets into that space in between those last 2 stitches, and put the 3rd double crochet into the foundation chain on the edge there. And now row 4 is finished with 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. As we continue working, we're going to continue working that middle section one more time, and at the end of each row you're going to have one more box. The next one we're going to have 5 boxes, then after that you will have 6 boxes. We're going to take our gauge at the end of row 5, so go ahead and work one more row so you have 5 boxes. Then I'll show you how to take your gauge. Gauge is essential if the finished size is essential to you. If the finished size is not essential, it doesn't matter how big or how small your square is, then you don't need to take gauge. But go ahead and work up to the end of row 5 and then we'll talk more about it. Here at the end of row 5, we're going to go ahead and take our gauge. So if the finished size of the square is important for your project, if you're using it to make a sweater or a beanie, or something where the finished size needs to be correct so that it will fit correctly, then you're going to want to go ahead and take your gauge. If you're working something like a blanket or scarf, where the finished size isn't necessarily that essential, and you're going to be making a bunch of squares and sewing them together, then as long as the size is consistent from one square to another, that's all that matters. So if gauge is not essential, you can go ahead and jump down to the description box, scroll to the timestamp, click on it for the next row, and it will jump you forward in the video. Taking gauge means you're going to lay your soft tape measure on the edge of this bottom left side. You're going to measure all the way across to the edge of the bottom right side, measuring from the bottom edge of the left side all the way up to the top edge of the same side. If you're measuring smaller than the measurements I've provided, you're going to want to go up a crochet hook size and rework this sample. And if you're measuring larger, you're going to want to go down a crochet hook size and rework this sample. If gauge is essential to you and you're not measuring the correct measurement now, the finished size of the square is not going to be correct. It's going to be either too big or too small. Again, if the finish size is not essential to you, you don't mind if it's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, or you're working a project like a blanket where the finish size has some wiggle room, then you're good to go. But if gauge is important to you, the finish size is important, you're going to want to go ahead and take your gauge. Alright, we need 6 rows in this first color, so I'm going to go ahead and work one more row so I have 6 boxes. Then for row 7, we're going to go ahead and introduce our new color to start the heart. So go ahead and work one more row. I've finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes, 6 rows. And now we're going to begin row 7, which introduces our new color so we can start our heart. For row 7, we're going to start by working one box in this original color. I'm going to flip this bottom fabric, insert as if to slip stitch, and then I'm going to set this down. I'm going to grab my new color because we're going to go ahead and start our heart. And mine for this one is going to be green. I'm forming a loop here near the end, leaving a tail end long enough I can comfortably weave in, and I'm going to put this on my hook. So when we change colors, we're going to do it in the last step of the last stitch before the box that we want to be that color. So the next box that I work, I want it to be in this heart color. The last stitch before that is going to be the slip stitch, and the last step of the slip stitch is going to be to yarn over and pull through. So I'm going to put this loop on my hook, that counts as the yarn over, and then I'm going to pull it through that stitch and through the loop that's on my hook. I'm going to go ahead and drop the tail end to the back. Pick up the working yarn, chain 2, and I'm going to start by working one box and I'm going to slip stitch. And I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to go back to where I switched colors here. You see how this loop that we switched from is elongated? I'm going to hold onto the fabric there. I'm going to go to the back of it, find that tail end, and I'm going to give it a tug. And when I do that, the loop is going to basically disappear. And this is what I'm going to do throughout the whole entire thing to make the color change as seamless as possible. Next time I go to pick up that color, I'll just give it a tug in case it's come loose, and then I'll switch back to it. And you see here where you can sort of see some of that cream popping through. You see that little green spot right there. These stitches are all bunched up right on that last stitch right there. You can use your fingers to manipulate the fabric, pull them apart so that they spread out a little bit more to fill in more of the space. Or you can grab like a needle if you need help moving it over. Alright, so I have one box in the heart color. I'm going to go ahead and continue working here in the center, so I have 5 boxes in this heart color. And now I need to switch back to that original color. I'm not using this tail end that I have down here at the first box because I'm going to need that when I come back down. I'm going to use a different strand here. I'm going to insert my hook as if to slip stitch, and I'm going to set this down. If you have another ball of your original color, you can pull from the center of that one. I am working from the same ball of yarn, so I'm just going to find the tail end from the other side. Form a loop here near the end, leaving a tail end I can comfortably weave in. Place this loop on my hook that counts as the last yarn over, and then pull through to complete the slip stitch. Drop the tail end to the back, chain 2, and work my final box. Pull up on this loop. I'm going to come back to this green strand right here from where I switched from my heart to the original color, and you can see that loop is elongated. I'll hold on the fabric here, go find the tail on the back side, and just give it a tug, and that's going to disappear. And now row 7 is complete. We have 7 boxes here, 1 in the original color, 5 in the heart color, and 1 in the original color. And the side that we're looking at here is going to be the right side, or the front side. For row 8, we're going to go ahead and chain 6 and work our first box. Flip that bottom fabric. I'm going to be slip stitching with my new color here. This side that we're looking at now is going to be the wrong side, or the back side. This is where all our tail ends are going to stay. So when you switch colors, just make sure you drop them to this side. And when we're changing colors from this wrong side, we're going to drop our current color first to the same side we're looking at. Insert our hook as if to slip stitch. I'm holding the tension here with my finger. I'm going to go grab my heart color. I'm going to give that strand a tug in case that stitch has come loose. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through to complete the slip stitch. Chain 2, and I'm going to work my first box. And here you're going to see that you have a float that you've gained by pulling that yarn over. But as soon as you work this first box, it's going to completely cover that float. I'm going to come here to where I switched colors, and I'm going to give that strand a tug so that loop will disappear. And then if I go to the right side of the fabric, or the front side, you no longer see that float because that box we just finished working completely covered it up. Now we're going to continue working in this heart color so that we have 5 boxes. After I've completed my 5th box here in the heart color, I'm going to go ahead and drop this working yarn to this side that I'm looking at so that it's on the same side as all my tails. Grab the original color, tighten it up if it's come loose, insert my hook as if to slip stitch, yarn over with the original color, and pull it through to complete the slip stitch. Then chain 2, and I'm going to finish this out with 2 boxes worked in this original color. And there we are. Row 8 is complete. We had 1 box in the original color, 5 boxes in the heart color, and 2 boxes in the original color. And I want to make sure I come back here to where I switched this last time and give that heart strand a tug so that loop will disappear. And now I'm ready for row 9. For row 9, we're going to start with a chain 6 and work our first box. We're going to have 2 worked in this original color. Now I'm going to insert as if to slip stitch, hold the tension here on my hook, drop the working yarn to the back, pick up that heart color, give it a tug if it's come loose, yarn over and pull through to complete the slip stitch. Chain 2 and work my first box here. Then I'm going to come back here to where I switched colors and I'm going to tug on that strand so that loop will disappear. And then I'm going to continue in the center, working so that I have 6 boxes in the heart color. There's box number 6. I'm going to insert my hook as if to slip stitch, hold the tension, drop the working yarn to the back with all the rest of the tails, grab the original color, tighten it up, and pull it through to complete the slip stitch. Then chain 2 and work one final box here. Come back to where I switched, tighten that up, and there's row 9. We had 2 boxes in the original color, 6 boxes in the heart color, and 1 box in the original color. That makes 9 boxes for this row. For row 10, we're going to go ahead and chain 6 and work our first box. We're flipping to the wrong side, and when we work from the wrong side, we're going to be dropping our yarn to this wrong side that we're looking at before we insert our hook here to slip stitch. Go ahead and grab your heart color, tighten it up, yarn over, and pull it through. I'm going to give that other strand a tug, and then chain 2, and we're going to have 6 boxes worked in the heart color. I have box number 6 here. I'm going to go ahead and hold the loop, drop the working yarn to the side I'm looking at, pick up the original color, tighten it up, insert my hook as if to slip stitch, and then yarn over and pull through. Chain 2. And we're going to finish this out with 3 boxes in the original color. And I'm going to come down here to where I switched, give that strand a tug, and that's the end of row 10. 1 box in the original color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes in the heart color, and 3 boxes in the original color. 10 boxes in total. For row 11, we're going to start with our chain 6. Work our first box. And then we're going to have 3 boxes in this original color here in the beginning, so I just finished my first box. Here's number 2, and one more here is going to make 3. Now we're working from the right side of our fabric, so we're going to go ahead and insert as if to slip stitch. Hold on to the tension of those 2 stitches on your hook and drop the working yarn to the back. Grab the heart color, tighten it up, yarn over, and pull through to complete the slip stitch. Chain 2, give that original strand a tug, and continue in this heart color. We're going to have 6 boxes worked here in the center in the heart color. Here's box number 6. Insert as if to slip stitch. Hold the tension of the 2 loops on the hook, drop the working yarn to the back, grab the original color, tighten it up, yarn over, pull through. And we're going to finish this out with 2 boxes in the original color. Going to give that strand where I changed a tug, and that's the end of row 11. We had 3 boxes in the original color, 6 boxes in the heart color, and 2 boxes in the original color. And now our square is as large as we want it to be, and it's 11 boxes diagonally here. And now we're going to begin decreasing in row 12. So as I said, row 11 has 11 boxes. Row 12 is going to have 10 boxes. The following row will have 9 boxes, and we'll decrease all the way back down until we get to 1 box here in the corner. From now on, we're no longer going to be beginning with a chain 6 and working down our box. Instead, we're going to work just like this. Chain 1 and turn. Skip the first stitch, slip stitch into the second stitch, slip stitch into the third stitch, and slip stitch into the fourth stitch, which is the top chain right in the center, and chain 2. Then we're going to work our first box here as normal into that space. And I am going to be changing colors, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're on the wrong side, so dropping the strand here first, then inserting as if to slip stitch, grab the heart color and pull it through. Come back here, give this original color a tug, and here you can see our edge forming. There's a little bit of a dip in here. You can use your fingers to manipulate the fabric if you want to go ahead and pull that out to get it to look more straight. But don't worry too much about it, because we're going to come back at the end. We're going to put a border on it, and that's going to fix any wonkiness that you see there. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook back in here, and I'm going to continue working here in the center so that I have 6 boxes in the heart color. After box number 6, I'm going to go ahead and drop this working yarn to the side I'm looking at, grab the original color, insert my hook here, and complete the slip stitch. And we're going to finish this row out with 3 boxes in the original color. And when I work this last box here, this third box, we slip stitch join. We are not going to chain 2 and work another box on top. Instead, this is the other edge. So you can see here that we started creating an edge, we worked all the way across, and now we're starting the edge on the other side. Row 12 is complete. We had 1 box in the original color, 6 boxes in the heart color, and 3 boxes in the original color, 10 boxes in total. For row 13, we're going to start with our chain 1 and turn. Skip the first stitch. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to see here where our first stitch is and where the second stitch is that we're going to work into. So if you're confused at all, I recommend starting over here on the left side. That's where your last stitch is going to be. 1, 2, 3. We're working 3 stitches, so this is where you know your first slip stitch is going to be worked. Slip stitch into the second stitch, slip stitch into the third stitch, and then slip stitch into the 4th stitch, which is right into the center of that chain. Chain 2, and we'll come here and work our first box. We're going to actually have 2 boxes here in the original color. And then I'll insert as if to slip stitch, hold the tension, drop it to the back, pick up a heart color, give it a tug, yarn over, pull through, chain 2. I'm going to go here with my heart color, but before I do, again I have that dip here on the edge. You can use your fingers to manipulate the fabric if you want to. But again, we're going to go ahead and put that border on later, so don't worry about it too much. I'm going to go here in the center so that I have 6 boxes worked in the heart color. After box number 6, I'm going to go ahead and insert here as if to slip stitch, hold the tension, drop my yarn, grab the original color, yarn over, pull it through, and complete one last box. Slip stitch join to complete row 13. We had 2 boxes in the original color, 6 boxes in the heart color, and 1 box in the original color. That's 9 boxes in total. For row 14, I'm going to start here with my chain 1 and turn, slip stitch into the 2nd stitch, 3rd stitch, and 4th stitch. Chain 2 and work my first box, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch. We're going to have 3 boxes worked here in the original color. So right below us is the tail end for our heart color. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up a little bit and then fasten off, leaving a tail end long enough I can comfortably weave in. I don't want to have a float here. I don't want the yarn to be carried and visible from this side, so I'm fastening off so I can reattach it here in the middle. Now I'm going to continue working 2 more boxes so that I have 3 boxes in the original color. And here, when I get ready to slip stitch after my 3rd box, I'm going to go ahead and hold the tension, drop this working yarn to the side I'm looking at, insert my hook as if to slip stitch, and then I'm going to go and get my heart color again. This is a great time to untangle your yarn if you've been twisting and turning before you attach this new strand. Form a loop here, leave a tail end long enough to weave in, put that loop on the hook, and pull it through to complete the slip stitch. Drop the tail end to the side that I'm looking at with the rest of the tails, and then I can chain 2 and work in this heart color. And we're going to have 3 boxes in this color. Then I'll drop this color to the side I'm looking at, pick up the original color, insert as if to slip stitch, yarn over, pull through, chain 2, and we're going to finish this row out with 2 boxes in the original color. And that's going to complete row 14. 3 boxes in the original color, 3 boxes in the heart color, 2 boxes in the original color, 8 boxes in total. For row 15, chain 1 and turn, slip stitch across, and work your first box. And here we're going to switch to our heart color, so insert as if to slip stitch, hold the tension, drop it to the back, and pick up the heart color. And here in the center, we're going to have 4 boxes worked in this heart color. Insert as if to slip stitch, drop that to the back, pick up the original color, and then we're going to finish this row out with 2 boxes worked in the original color. This slip stitch here is going to complete row 15 with 1 original colored box, 4 heart colored boxes, and 2 original colored boxes. That's going to be 7 boxes across. Row 16, we'll start with our chain 1 and turn, slip stitch across, and then we're going to have 2 boxes in the original color, drop this to the front side that I'm looking at, switch to my heart color, and then here in the center we're going to have 3 boxes in the heart color. Drop this strand to the front side I'm looking at, insert as if to slip stitch, switch to the original color, and finish this row out with 1 box. And that's going to complete row 16 with 2 boxes in the original color, 3 boxes in the heart color, and 1 box in the original color. 6 boxes. Row 17, chain 1 and turn, slip stitch across, Chain 2 and then work 1 box in the original color. Insert as if to slip stitch, hold the tension, drop it to the back, and switch to the heart color. And then here in the center we're going to have 3 boxes worked in the heart color. And insert as if to slip stitch, drop the yarn to the back, pick up the original color, and complete this row with 1 box in the original color. Row 17 is finished with 5 boxes, 1 on each side of the original color, and 3 in the center worked in your heart color. For row 18, this is the last one where we're going to be working our heart. We're going to start with a chain 1 and turn, and we're going to go ahead and work across. Chain 2, work our first box. Drop that yarn to the side you're looking at, switch to the heart color, and before I complete this box I'm going to tighten down this original color, and I'm going to go ahead and fasten off with a tail long enough I can comfortably weave in. I'm no longer going to be using the strand, and I'm going to come here. I'm going to work 2 boxes in my heart color. Drop this strand to the side I'm looking at, insert as if to slip stitch, pick up that original color, and before I complete this last box I'm going to go ahead and tighten down this heart color and fasten that off as well, leaving a tail long enough to weave in, and then complete one more box here. And slip stitch join, and that completes row 18 with 4 boxes. That's 1 of the original color on each side and 2 of the heart color in the center. Now we chain 1 and turn, we slip stitch across, and we'll have 4 boxes worked in this original color all the way across. We're going to continue decreasing from 4 boxes in this next row all the way down to 1 box in the top corner, and then we're going to move on into the border. There is 1 round of the border I definitely think you should add to finish off your square, and then if you want to add additional rounds on top of that, you're more than welcome to. I'm only going to do the foundation round, but it's just going to give this square a nice finished clean edge all the way around. And then if you're using your squares for other projects, that foundation round is going to help you out whenever you go to join all your squares together. So let me go ahead and work down, and then I'll be back with you and you'll see my original square again as we finish this project off. And there we are. The heart is now complete. We started at 1 box, we increased all the way up, and now we're back down to 1 box. Now it's time to go ahead and add a border. Even if you're not going to add much of a border, I definitely recommend finishing off with 1 round of the border. It's going to correct any wonkiness that you have here along your sides. And by working in between the boxes, really the stitches blend in and it doesn't even look like a border, but it's going to give you a nice foundation. And then if you choose to add another border, you have that foundation to work into. So let me show you this finishing round that I definitely recommend you add, and then you can decide after that if you want to add additional rounds. For the foundation border, which is the finishing touch that I think the corner to corner square should have, even if you're not going to add a border after that, we're going to start with a chain 1. This does not count as a stitch. And then we're going to pull open that box that we just finished and the one next to it, because we're looking for that space in between the 2 boxes. That's where we're going to insert our hook. Right into that space in between those 2 boxes. Yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. That's a single crochet, and we're going to single crochet into the space in between all of the boxes. In the middle, between those 2 single crochets, we're going to chain 2. Pull open those next 2 boxes, find that space, insert your hook right into the center of it. Underneath that stitch there at the top, right in the center, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. Chain 2. Pull apart those next 2 boxes. Insert your hook into the center space, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. As you work, you want to make sure that you're working into that actual space in between the boxes, and you can easily tell where the 2 boxes separate because this one on the left is going horizontally, this one on the right is going vertically. Chain 2 always in between. Single crochet into the space in between the next 2 boxes. And go ahead and continue working all the way across until you've worked your last chain 2 before the corner. There's my last chain 2, and I have 1 final box left here. We're going to find the cornermost stitch here at the top left side, and that's where we're going to work our corner. We're going to insert right into the center of that stitch. You want to try to pick up 2 loops here so that you have some more security, and complete a single crochet. Then chain 2 and single crochet back into that same exact stitch, and that's going to form your corner here. We need to work multiple stitches here in the corners so that the fabric will lay flat. You can experiment with stitches here. My go-to is always single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. The chain 2 doesn't give me quite as round of a corner, which is more what I like. If you want something a little bit more rounded, you could do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. You could also do 3 single crochets in there. To equal this chain 2, if you want to do stitches instead of chains, you could do single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet. And it'll pop that center one out just a little bit so that you'll get less of a rounded corner. Whatever you do to one corner, just make sure you do it to all your corners. Let's continue here down the side. Chain 2, single crochet into the space in between the next 2 boxes. Chain 2, single crochet in the space in between the next 2 boxes. Continue chain 2, single crochet in the space in between the next 2 boxes, all the way down till you get to your last chain 2. Here's my last single crochet and chain 2. I have one box left. Find the cornermost stitch at the top left side and work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now this is where my slip knot is, so this is opening up as I work. Just hold on to the knot, pull that tail end to tighten it back down, and we'll secure that in a few moments when we weave in our ends. Then we begin again with a chain 2. You're going to go ahead and continue working all the way around. Chain 2, single crochet into the space in between the next 2 boxes all the way down. Once you get here and you work your last single crochet, chain 2, pull this out, find the cornermost stitch on the top left side and work your next corner. Then work up that last side, and then we'll work our last corner. We're going to work this one together because this one's going to be a little bit different, and then we'll join. I've just worked my last chain 2 here, and I'm at the last corner. So to get an even corner here, you need to skip that beginning chain 2, and then you're going to work your corner into that next double crochet. So it's not the cornermost stitch here, but this is where you need to work it so that it's equal in height to the rest of the stitches. And then complete it, chain 2 and single crochet. Now we have one more space here that we need to work to complete this last part, and the slip stitch that we're going to do at the end is going to take the place of one of those chains. So we're just going to do one chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch join to that first stitch. Insert your hook underneath both loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. And that's going to give you even spacing there. And now the square is finished. This is the completion of what I would say is the final round of the square if you don't want to add an actual border. You just want to give it that finishing touch to make everything look nice and even. This is where I'm going to pause for mine. Now I'm going to make a blanket with my squares, so I'm going to use this foundation round to do my joining. If I was using this square for another project like a table runner or a tote bag or a shawl, I would do it the same exact way. If you're using this square for a different project, or you want to make it a little bit larger by adding some more rounds of a border on, let's talk about how you could do that. You need to decide what stitch pattern you want to do for your next round of the border. For single crochet and half double crochet, you start with a chain 1. For double crochet, you start with a chain 2. The rest of the pattern is done the same way. It's going to be 1 stitch into that first single crochet and 2 stitches into each chain 2 space. 1 stitch into the next single crochet, 2 stitches into each chain 2 space. Basically, you're working 1 stitch into each stitch all the way around. The chain 2s have 2 stitches in it, that's why you're putting 2 stitches there. And you'll insert your hook right into the center space of that chain, picking up the chain on your hook, and then complete your stitch. When you get to the corners, you need to increase so that the corners will continue to lay flat, and you can do it the same way as you did previously. 1 stitch, chain 2, 1 stitch, all worked into that corner chain space, and then you can change it up again if you want, the same way as I mentioned before. Just remember, whatever you're doing to one corner, you want to do to all the corners, and then you work all the way down the side, the bottom, and up the other side the same way. 1 stitch into each single crochet, 2 stitches into each chain space. Once you come back around, you will still work 2 stitches into that last chain space and then slip stitch join. I usually like to stay with single crochet if I'm adding additional rounds. Sometimes I do go up to half double crochet. I do notice that when I go to half double crochet, it does make this area here where the chain spaces look a little bit more lacy. So if you go beyond a single crochet for additional rounds, just keep that in mind that you might have a lacy edging there. Once you're ready to finish off, then you'll just come here, you'll fasten off, leaving a tail end long enough you can comfortably weave in. Pull up on that loop to break it, insert your hook from the wrong side to the right side, through the stitch you just finished slip stitching to, yarn over, and pull through so that tail end is on the back side with the rest of them. Now it's time to grab your tapestry needle and weave in your ends. I'm going to show you just one of the ends on the back because they're all going to be worked exactly the same. I always like to do 3 passes. That's my magic number. That's what I feel the most secure with. If you feel secure after 2, go ahead and fasten off. If you feel like you need to work a 4th one, then go ahead and do that. It's whatever you feel the most secure with your ends. As I weave in, I do not pick up the whole entire stitch on my needle. When I enter and when I exit, I break the stitch in half, and that's going to help capture my yarn better. Now you can work horizontally into the bulkiness of the cluster. Just make sure that you're manipulating your fabric so that everything lays naturally in the end. It's a lot easier to bunch it up here than it is when you work vertically. I do prefer working vertically, so I am going to do that as much as possible. I'm going to work up and down into the double crochet that's there. Tighten up your end if it's come loose. Insert into a nearby stitch, breaking that in half. Run it vertically up through several of those stitches there, or several parts of that one stitch. Break the stitch in half when you exit. I like to hold the fabric in between my thumb and my middle finger, prevents some of the bunching, and then pull my needle through. Give it a tug. Use my fingers to manipulate the fabric if I need to, if it has bunched up, because I want it to lay naturally. I don't want it to be distorted at all. That's pass number 1. Rotate this, insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. Run back through several of those same stitches that I just finished working into, and break the last stitch in half when I exit. Hold the fabric in between my fingers, pull it through, give it a tug, manipulate the fabric if I need to. Rotate it. I'm going to do one more. Insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. Run back up vertically. And break that last stitch in half. As you exit, hold on to the fabric, pull the needle through, give it a tug, manipulate the fabric. And just be careful because I pulled that way open. You don't want to distort any of the fabric. You just want it to lay naturally. Then go ahead and fasten off. Now you'll go ahead and do the same thing for all the other ends. Even the last one that we fastened off after doing the single crochet, you can do the same exact thing, running it vertically into that last cluster. Once you get all your ends woven in, then your square is officially ready. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video. You'll find the written pattern for it linked in the description box below. Let me know what you'll be using your square for. Please smash that like button and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.